You ask me who decides what's newsworthy. I think we live in an age now that we can't even pinpoint that shit. Back in the day, it was the news stations, but
And the newspapers.
you don't even really watch the news when all the news is on social media now. So, who's the decider in all of this? Who's the decider of certain stories making it every 20 minutes on the fucking.
The repeat, the twist of it. Who decides? Who in the news cycle decides what's worthy? Because the real answer is us as a society. If people aren't tuning into these stations or actively engaging these social media posts from these, I'll say, news outlets, I think that it would dictate a change to what they report on. But the fact that the engagement on everything, the viewership on everything, is at an almost all-time high when it comes to things. Even if you're not paying attention completely, the viewership is still an all-time high.
Just look at how media has changed since we started doing radio. In 2012, we hit the streets. We had black and white flyers. We were telling people, tune in to what the mainstream media is keeping hidden from you. That was the tagline that we used. At the time, Facebook was around, Instagram was around, all these things were around. But for some reason, we were able to get off a 3-hour podcast every Monday. People's attention spans have deteriorated to the point where now we're forcibly doing 15-minute joints. We're going to call them joints. Not even, not even fucking blunts. They're just joints. Because people can't retain information for too long. Like, you can't sit somebody down for 3 hours anymore.
No. And people just need it. Whatever. Now, what are you telling me now? Move on to the next thing. And even still with that, I think people, just in general, man, it's tough because the news cycle, man, and things change so rapidly, but it's almost like the same things get repeated in a different way, or the same situation gets repeated. It's almost like a cycle of similar things.
But then when we was doing radio and we was focusing in on the fact that the media is all fucked up, we started receiving a certain level of hatred from people. We started getting, the messages, the emails, and all that shit, to the point where we started feeling uncomfortable speaking about this shit because we felt like we were whistleblowers. And now everything is so oversaturated anyways. Everybody's talking about everything all the time.
I'll say since the election of 45, conspiracy theories have gone mainstream. It's to the point now where you have mainstream media outlets. I'm talking CNN. I'm talking mainstream big newspapers like U.S. newspapers, Washington Post, Daily News, LA Times. They're reporting on, the Simpsons, stuff going on with the Simpsons, another Simpsons prediction, conspiracy theory. And the point that now it's to the point where even when something happens that you have to have, officials come out and say, well, it's not that conspiracy theory everyone thinks it is. That's it. Let's take when that thing happened at Con Edison last
fucking
winter,
explosion,
the blue lights, yeah, and lit up the sky. Everybody all over the city, tri-state saw it. They said it wasn't aliens. Instead of just saying, listen, our equipment malfunctioned. Shit was a lot of electric voltage pulsing, whatever you have. They
threw water on the
shut
fire
down and went after the conspiracy theorist angle. And it's been more than one occasion, and that sort of lends credit to it. Because before it was just like, you think what you think, we're gonna report this, deal with it.
But it shows that we live in a time now that before you tell the truth, you just have to say it first. And that's what matters to outlets.
Listen, guys, this is the whole truth. Just, no one's people before, it was an expectation of, if you're stepping in front of the microphone, you'd be telling the truth. And now people have to say something. And listen, guys, this is the whole truth, or the whole truth. This is what I know. Instead of before, where it was the point where
they say breaking news, and at the end of it, they say we'll keep you updated on further developments before they allow the thing to develop.
That's something we frequently reported a lot on too, man. Is when breaking news does happen, the way the narrative changes frequently, man, and how certain stuff that was initially
and
reported
how it's
just
allowed
doesn't
to
get
change
reported
now.
anymore. Or even, I mean, I tell people how the media can control and drive a narrative. Cause let's take the recent Joker movie, as the most recent. I want to use as the media drove a
Have
narrative.
you seen it?
Yeah, I went to see it Wednesday with my girl. Amazing, one of the best pieces of film / cinema I've seen in my entire lifetime. Like hands down, any genre.
I haven't seen it.
There's
yet,
no
so
superhero, like none of that superpower nonsense going on. Just a great piece. Just a great film all around.
I heard Jared Leto's upset about it
Because
they just pulled the kibosh on his on his Joker sequel.
Well, whatever it is, I don't know. Joaquin did great. But you look at that where initially when it was before anyone here had seen it, it was on a film festival. I don't know which one it was, but got those huge reviews, got the 8-minute standing ovation. They said everyone was clapping at the end of it at that last film festival before it released. When it releases, before the release, you have the critics reviewing it, saying what they saying. You know, he's a great film. You know, it's a great narrative. You know, he's a great actor, but the film's so. You know, they said what they said, and people were going off of that. And then they were worried about the violence because of what the movie's about thing, and nothing came of it. But that narrative they pushed led to, you know, cops being stationed at theaters. What happened at AMC last week on 42nd Street, where a guy laughing in the theater while drunk. Although they reported much later by the end that people saw him pouring a whole bottle of tequila into his slushy, which means he was loaded. You know, so of course an idiot who's already there and gets more drunk. You know, alcohol infused is gonna be more fucking stupid, but you know, scared people. But it's the media put this in people's heads, and they drove the narrative. And really, a lot of people I see, you know, everyone I know who saw the film said the same thing I did. Yo, it's a good film. Don't listen to what they're saying, and go see it for yourself and make your own.
Who decides the narrative?
Who decides it? And then people drive it, and that's the thing.
When we first started doing this shit, we used to report on the fact that, what is it, 6 corporations?
6 corporations control 90% of the media.
So it's gotta be.
There are, at some point you have to think: is there someone deciding, like keywords? Even not everybody say, but keywords, saying key phrases. Even you know,
they don't. It's not that they don't want to know the truth. It's that they don't want to see the truth.
Oh no, the truth exists. I mean, a lot of people. I used to say it all the time, man. Before I, went into the rabbit hole. Willful ignorance, and I see it a lot. Willful
what is it
ignorance
in the Matrix? When I think it's Cypher, that he goes back and he has dinner with the agent, and he's like, I don't want to remember nothing.
Yeah, he's like,
I want to be somebody important, like an actor or something.
He's like, I know it's not real, and it's my brain, the chemicals in my brain telling me and impulses, but I like it. I want to eat it. It's like there's people like that just they'll know the truth, but you know what? Just put me back in my pod, send me back into the Matrix, wipe my memory, and just let me pretend it doesn't exist.
And it's also a testament to an overload of information. I feel like we went from not knowing enough to knowing too much,
and not being able to decipher it. I feel there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there too.
Because right before we started doing radio. That's when I was just watching nothing but documentaries in the house. I didn't even want to go to the fucking store, bro. Like, I was locked in my apartment. If I didn't have to go to work, I'm not going outside. Everything became, like, code. It was like I was seeing the numbers I was seeing the numbers in the Matrix. And I'm walking around as though I'm woke. And that's the term that people use now.
That's the term they use now. Woke. Or woke as fuck. Woke AF.
But the people in control, essentially, they know that there's people like this out there. So now they don't withhold information. They'll give you some of the truth. They're just going to sprinkle a little lie in it.
It's kind of like one of the things that drew me into watching Stranger Things was in when they said something about in one of the episodes, CIA mind controlling MK Ultra. And I'm like, wait, what y'all talking about? Like, what you know about that? What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about? That's what I felt like when I heard it. I'm like, all right, now you talk some shit. That's something I know the truth about. A lot of people don't. So I'm like, all right, I'll listen to this. And then when they were saying shit, and then other shit that went on when they touched on the CIA, mind control experiments, And it's like, yo, y'all kind of talking some shit here, man. Like, y'all kind of, you're not giving people the real, but something And I was fucking nuts, man. And like that's what drew me in there. Like people were, oh, the CIA never had mind control experiments, but they did. They did, and they were unknowingly dosing people with high amounts of psychedelic drugs.
What pisses me off is when Hollywood makes a movie about something like this, and then people say they're not doing that for real. They made a movie about it. It's like, motherfucker, like
it's like what was the last one that came out that I didn't really Geostorm? I didn't see it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen that one.
But essentially, HARP goes out of control, takes over the world, like starts fucking things up, or a HARP-like thing. And it's like people, like there are like weather modification methods that exist.
Hyperactive Auroral Research Project.
That they say is for, technology, communication and aspects, what have you. People
shit.
believe other things. But, the CIA, not
Well,
CIA,
the
Army themselves.
when we was telling people that HARP existed and we had photos of it, they still said, that's not real.
But even this, and they said it during Vietnam. There's some of the ways that they were able to flood the valleys, how they caused it to rain the way they did. They called it cloud seeding. Even when we said when we had Mickey Grand on, he said a few times when he was in the military, and Mickey Grand did a little bit of special forces work. He said some places he went where they made the weather change, made it cloudy, made it rain, so that they could advance, flood certain areas out.
But that technology was created by a scientist who wanted to help,
like drought-stricken areas,
and
that's what it was originally for.
As soon as he finished the technology, the guy dies, and now it's just military technology.
And if you look, that's what it was called, cloud seeding. And it was like they would spray, like I think some sort of particles into clouds that would attract the water, that would attract the moisture in the clouds and pull it all down, and and that's why they would have those. You would hear about these unnatural rains during Vietnam, where they'd say, like, you hear the soldiers dead ass rain for 40 days, 40 nights straight, and you see a soldier like in Forrest Gump. We had everything sideways blowing rain, little stingy rain, big old fat drops of rain that seemed to come up from under the ground. Like that's why they said they had these crazy amounts of rain that was just unheard. 40 days, 40 nights really of rain, and it's insane. And it again comes to who controls the narrative, man. Because it's like, if you look at it,
when we first started doing this, people feared for us that we were saying too much, and now I guess the people that control the narrative, they understood that you're gonna have people like this, so now we're just gonna flood you with so much distractions that we're gonna make you not care about none of this shit. And that's the shift in dynamic that I've seen in the past 7 years, is that now people just don't give a fuck.
It's like,
bro.
In order for you to make people care, you have to go viral. It has to be a meme or video, like you're almost
but
like
even
a Coney
now, when
2012
people
video.
do care, now it's a hashtag.
It's a hashtag.
Now it's like
Coney 2012. Like, you needed that video to show you the atrocities that have been going on in Africa since when? In all of our lifetimes, and you're just now. It took a video in 2012, like that people now say was some of these connections to the CIA. If you read about it, it took that happening for you to realize this was going on. That's been going on your entire lifetime, and that's why I say people are full of shit.
All people want to do, honestly, is stroke their own egos on social media. They're gonna look at what they want to look at. They're gonna take from it what they want to take from it. And it don't matter what you say.
Don't matter what you say, what type of knowledge you drop, facts or anything. What they believe is what they believe, regardless of whatever you say. And I mean, it's led to some of the division that we see now. Hopefully, somehow things recover. We get back to fact-based and fact-driven, society, not opinions, and not allowing your opinions to think that they can, force facts. Those are still your opinions and not facts. And that's on a multitude of subjects.
And you can't take opinion-based shows as news sources.
Yes.
That's not news.
Those are their opinions. And I think
like that Tommy Loren.
Yeah.
That was an opinion-based show.
A lot of these shows are opinion-based that you see on primetime news. Hannity, Rachel Maddow, all of them, man. Spin Zone, what's your name, Hardball. Like, these are all, Fox and Friends, Meet the Press. These are all these people's opinions on, that these aren't, them reporting the news at in almost a subjective way.